Day of Silence 2022. What is the Day of Silence? Every April 22nd, students stay silent through the entire school day to protest discrimination against LGBTQ plus students. They then break the silence at the end of the day with a rally. The Day of Silence was started by college students in 1996 and has since been observed by hundreds of thousands of students each year. It became a program of GLSEN, the Gay, Lesbian, and Straight Education Network, in 2001.
Stats. GLSEN held a survey in 2019 observing the school climate for LGBTQ students in Pennsylvania, in which they found that the large majority of these students regularly heard discriminatory remarks. Most of them have also experienced victimization, half of whom never reported it to staff. Less than a fourth of those who did said it had an effective result. Even as the world progresses, our state remains an unaccepting environment for LGBTQ plus people.
So these are some graphs, as you can tell, and for figure one, it describes the use of derogatory terms towards the LGBTQ people, the highest on the list being gay, used in a negative discriminatory way. For the second figure, you can see that it talks about harassment and assault towards gay people, the highest of all of them being verbal harassment, and it has the least amount of consequences. My story is something that happened pretty recently. I never really experienced much homophobia, only stories from other people. But recently, I was sitting in a class a few days before the Day of Silence, and a group of guys came in behind me. One of the guys asked his friends if they were participating in the Day of Silence, and the others mocked it and made statements that at least we don't have to hear their stupid voices. Along with that, they also mocked our cause and labeled it as stupid and not worth the protest, if it even was that. I was hurt by this, to say the least, and so many things were going through my mind, like why do I feel this? Why do they feel this way? What made them believe this, and how can I change this? Well, for starters, we can teach more people about the injustice we and others face every day and bring awareness to the issues we protest against. Simply being silent won't be enough to change the way people feel, and that's apparent by what these people said. In fact, it may be a relief to some, but it's also a memorial to commemorate the lives of the people who died fighting for our rights.
It is my first year at GSA, and in March we were planning the dance. We made posters to hang around the school so that more people would find out about it, and unfortunately things didn't go very well. Many posters were torn down and defaced, one was even found crumpled up in a urinal. Gross, right? Because of this, we had to reposition the posters higher up on the wall and reinforce the posters by completely taping down all sides to make them harder to grab and rip down. Not only did this take time out of our day to correct the blatant disregard of club property, but we had to remake posters and go back through the school to place them back up. This is a problem because it shows obvious homophobia by ruining our club property and might make people who want to participate in these events too scared to go because they are afraid that they will be bullied or harassed. Additionally, we had several threats against the club itself, with students threatening to shoot up the GSA for fun, which caused some students to no longer want to come to GSA out of fear of being in danger.
I have been out as transgender for 5 years, and over these 5 years, I have faced and continue to face a lot of discrimination. Not only from my peers, but also from my family, people I used to consider friends, and people that don't even know me. I think that a large portion of the issue is that most people don't understand what transgender means. For me, as a binary trans person, I don't want people to view me as a trans person. I just want to be viewed with the gender I identify with. I'd move mountains for people to be able to look at me and simply perceive me as a boy. It's uncomfortable when you know that how you see yourself is not how your peers see you. I've always had struggles with my self esteem, and I've always had at least one person around who is quick to judge me. When I returned to the high school full time after doing half days in ninth grade because of the COVID pandemic, many of my peers and even acquaintances had become bullies. I think that it's really sad that so many of the community's youth are uneducated, closed minded, and hateful. I've had things thrown at me, food, rocks, and other inanimate objects. I've been harassed verbally on a variety of different occasions. One time, a kid even went out of his way to stop in the hallway to spit on me. Most of these times I was solely existing, doing mundane tasks like eating lunch with my friends in the cafeteria or just trying to get to classes. These kids never knew me, they didn't even know my name. They didn't have enough regard for me to know that I suffer with severe mental health conditions or that I was going through extremely traumatic things already in my personal life. They underestimated the effect that their harassment would have on me. It started tearing me up inside. I'd wake up, go to school, and walk around the halls like a zombie, and when classes changed, I'd find myself holding my breath, hoping that no one would harass me today. It became harder and harder for me to avoid it, and I fell victim to myself next. Pretending I was okay became a debilitating chore. So I simply stopped showing up to school. I gave in to my fear and the inability to get out of bed each morning, and my mental health had just plummeted. I was at a low point. I ended up being court ordered to an inpatient rehabilitation facility. It was my third time being hospitalized, and when I was discharged to a partial hospitalization, which is where you go to the hospital during the day like school. They had to request to hold me there for an extra week of treatment because they knew I was adamant about not returning to the high school. They had no idea what to do with me. They ended up placing me at the academy for a plethora of different reasons, but the whole process was extremely emotionally draining for me and my family. I was forced to leave my own school by my own classmates. Something needs to be done about the harassment LGBT students face before it's too late. What can you do to help? Educate people around you, such as teachers, friends, and family, on how to help. Speak up or intervene when you hear things such as bullying. Examples are harassment and homophobia, transphobia, racial or anti LGBTQ slurs.
We just want to say thank you for listening to the presentation and have a great day.